Alright guys, welcome back. So we're talking about AMD here. So last time I think I covered this name somewhere around after earnings report saying that this stock is still in a downtrend. And today we're talking about the 13Fs. I'm pretty sure many of you heard that 13Fs came out literally on Friday. Many funds, many big investors invested, rotated, rebalanced their portfolios. So I just went ahead, instead of doing that, I care about the overall, like what happened in general in AMD's case, like who was the biggest seller, who was the biggest buyer. So that's how I like to take a look at it. I don't care about if Warren Buffett sold or bought. I care as a whole what happened, who unloaded the highest amount, who bought the highest amount. So, and I just filter out based on that 13F, and here's the numbers. I don't know if, for me, it was a little interesting because there are many people who don't know these funds that manage multi-billions, trillions of assets, except for maybe some mainstream names like JP Morgan, maybe you know Goldman Sachs, but I'm sure many of you don't know Price T. Rowe, FMR, Janus Henderson, LLC, Wellington, all these guys, but they manage much more money than maybe your mainstream names, okay? So the biggest seller was Price T. Rowe Association Incorporation, 17 million. Basically, from the percentage of ownership they owned, you can see estimated price, at what price they owned. You can see, they could have just locked. You can see maybe historic average prices and how much of their holdings they had to trim. So these guys trimmed 50%, almost 49% of their position. FMR 49%, JP Morgan Chase sold almost 47% of their position, Jensen 65%, and Wellington sold 4.5 million shares, 93% of their position sold. And you can see, you can just filter out and just go through yourself. And if you filter the biggest buyers, we can go take a look at the biggest buyer, 23 million shares, Norges Bank. The average price, so it looks like they owned first time in Q1 of 2016. So average price $145. Well, if you take a look at the stock price, anybody, any fund, literally every single fund who bought the stock in Q4, they're down. Every one of them. How do we know that? Well, all of their business was done in Q4. So all of them bought AMD in Q4, and AMD probably dropped the most in Q4. This is quarterly chart of AMD. If you take a look at it in quarterly terms, so maybe that's why they bought it, I don't know. But in Q4, AMD has fallen the most throughout the year. So 27%. This is, every candle here presents quarterly again, okay? So Q1, it had positive, Q2 a little negative, Q3 it was flat, positive, Q4, this is where the most dumping happened. And Q1 of 2025, we are sitting right here. Well, since we're trading below Q4 levels, even the low of Q4, I know it's a couple percentages, but the point is all of these guys are down on the water. They could have just averaged down, but you can do the math yourself. So the second biggest buyer was Susquehanna, and they own both calls and puts. I think if you don't know these guys, like if you don't know these investing firms, you guys are missing out a lot. These are market gods actually. In terms of, like, for me, Susquehanna, they are the probably the best of the best options traders. They move very, very large size calls and puts. So it looks like they had some calls long. You can see there are long calls, they're long puts at the same time. So they're not playing that game of just investing. So these guys, whenever I see these guys invested, they're hedging the heck out of their position. They're not the ones that just go blindly long. And again, all these guys do same thing, hedge probably as well. But second, just compare it to second biggest buyers, how much they increased their position, 59%, 67%, 55, 31, and then just go take a look at the biggest reducers by how much they reduced their shares. So by looking at this, so my point is that, yeah, maybe a little bit more people looks like they bought it, but if you combine the loading and unloading, people who loaded, they hold puts as well. They own a bunch of puts as well. All of these guys, look at these. Like they have to disclose. If you're a fund and you have more than $100 million worth of any asset, I mean, you have to disclose on 13F whether you are long puts. What does long puts mean? I'm long puts. Many people don't even understand. I'm short puts. I'm long puts. Many people don't understand that term. I'm long puts means I'm short the stock. I have put options. A lot of people understand, yeah, I own puts, but people don't understand I'm short calls. I'm long calls. I'm long puts. I'm short puts. They don't understand those terms. So they're long puts, they're short, they have a short position and they have a long position. So I just thought that it's interesting to go through these names. But again, I don't trade on the back of these guys. But my point is that if you're following these guys, I mean, you have to at least manage the way they manage their money. So let's go back to the price of the AMD. Does it mean that it's trying to put a bottom right here? Possible. We don't know. I'm basically trading from one support level to another. For me, as an options trader, I look at the stock. Many of you guys look at on a daily, weekly, and you guys look at it maybe on a yearly chart. I look at the option, I mean, when I'm trading options in stocks, this information alone, like freaking $1 billion information right here. I trade stocks OPEX to OPEX. I look at the OPEX to OPEX chart. This is a monthly chart as well. So this chart that I'm showing you, option expiration to option expiration, this is monthly OPEX to OPEX chart. This is what I watch for the most part. This is what I have learned to watch actually. I haven't been doing it for all the time. Of course, I have been learning more and more, but this is how I trade it. So if you're looking at any stock, this is a must. Instead of looking at a monthly chart, you have to look at it option expiration to option expiration. So based on that, well, what stock does right here, you can see it did move up and down, yes, but opening and closing prices burned so much premium doing this. Same thing right here in Q4 of 2024, last quarter, after coming down for about 2 option expirations, which is 2 months, and then pausing right here, and basically maybe a lot of people thought that this is a bottom, and then the next following option expiration, which is this expiring, I mean this expired actually, OPEX to OPEX on February. Did it? Or is it about to expire? It's about to expire, I think, in February 21st. And it just started coming down here too. But if it closes somewhere neutral right here, I would be watching this name maybe above 50-day moving average to the upside. Meaning this stock, if next option expiration, if this stock happened to trade above 50-day moving average, sure, I'll be watching it long. But at the same time, seasonality of the market is after mid-February going into mid-March, meaning from this option expiration to next option expiration, market is usually has ranged that from 5 to 7% decline. This is where it happens. So if you think that market is going to get ripped through this level, wherever we are sitting at the all-time highs, sure, possible. But in terms of seasonality, I'm a little bit biased to the downside, and I'm not betting against that seasonality. And I'm watching this stock possibly take out this 106. And if it goes down after this option expiration, essentially in January option expiration, this stock opened at around these $122 levels. Now it's trading at 113. So maybe in the next, what I'm saying is that in the next 4 trading sessions, it drifts to these levels, kills a lot of premium by not doing much during this option expiration. This is the 2 option expiration periods. Then I think it can pick a direction, move lower or higher. This is what I'm saying. So I would be watching it as a support level so far. 116 at 106.50. That's the low of the day, 52-week low. This is what I'm watching as a support. If it cracks, sure, I will be playing AMD to the downside. Maybe next support 95. That's the level I would be watching. So this is a daily chart I'm watching for AMD. So this is the level from 2023, where we basically put sort of like a double bottom before it rallied to the upside. And then I have a longer dated support trend line that I showed already many times. This is the support line I'm watching for the stock. So, and lastly, put to call ratio. So the max pain 114 going into February 21st based on put to call ratio. And you can see how much premiums in terms of the, notional value about to expire in billions for the calls and for the puts, and total open interest on both sides on all strikes, 2.3 million open interest for the calls, 1.7 million for the puts. So this upcoming option expiration is very large one in terms of the open interest, because there's a lot of calls about to expire, 336,000 versus outside of the money 107,000 puts. So yeah, this is how these guys play it. They sell the heck out of options and keep milking it every quarter, and from the gains they make from selling these calls and puts throughout the quarters, throughout option expiration and option expiration, then they go ahead and buy freaking shares, and they just keep accumulating like this. So that's the video. So actually, I don't know if it was any value for anybody, but if you liked the video, don't forget to like, subscribe. I will see you guys in the next one. Stock is still in a downtrend. This is not a buy or sell recommendation. This is purely for entertainment purposes only. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.